So the next thing we are supposed to do is to write this text here. So now I'm going to actually not write. Okay, let me just do it. I want to add whatever that is here. So I was talking about, I think I've talked about this before. I've talked about heading before. That's H1, H2, and all of that. So H1 is like an heading, like a topic in your page. So I'm not going to really dive into it here. So if you want to really know more about heading, what you should do is go to go to your resources list and look for MDN. You can see MDN documentation on heading. So if you click on it, it will talk about what headings are. Now headings is different from the head tag that I talked about. So heading is not the same thing as this. This is the head tag that just keep the things that describe what your website is doing here. It is not the same thing as this. It is not the same thing as H1 to H6. You can see the HTML section heading element. So this heading element is just representing the 6 level of section headings, and the highest section level is H1 and the lowest is H6. So now let me come here and say H1 to display my name, Abiodun. So in your own website, it is going to be your own name, not my own name. So, and if you want to put my name there, you can put it. So by the time you upload it online and people start seeing, they won't see your name is my name. So always put your name. So now if I come back to my website, I'm going to see my name here. You can see it here. Don't worry about the reason why it's not showing by the side. Yeah, we are going to work on that. So for now, just know that the name is showing here. And then if I come here to check the next thing that I have, I said I'm a software engineer, and then I'm going to type P. Now if you notice what I'm doing, I'm not typing like this all this time. So I just pick what I want to use, which is P, and then it will suggest it to me, and I press enter, and it just writes the opening and closing tag for me. This is the reason why I said we should download those extensions. That is what those extensions are doing. So if you don't have them, this might not be able to work on your own VS Code. So now this is a paragraph. The reason why I'm giving this as a heading is because it is the biggest thing here, and it is like a letter. You understand? It is like a topic, rather, like the letter heading, the topic of what I'm trying to talk about. And then I want to write this: I'm a software engineer. I'm a software engineer. Stop. Now it's going to show what I am here. I'm a software engineer, and I've not written this. So the reason why I've not written this is because there's another thing here happening, and I have to tell the browser that this is a link that goes to Instagram. You understand? So I have to say visit my Instagram page. So though everything is still a paragraph, so I'm going to say my Instagram page. So now if you go to this website now, you will see that it is not the same way this is. It is not a link. There's no underline. The color is not different. Now the reason is because I did not wrap it inside a link file. So a link tag rather. So there's an element called a tag, and if we come to the documentation, the reason why I'm coming to this documentation is because so that you guys can go yourself and read about these things. This is where you can see this documentation is like expo. So a lot of things are there. So in case you are building something and you don't know, and you say, okay, I want to put a link. How do I put a link? If you search it, you will see it here. So you can see when I come to this a tag, you see the anchor element. So this a HTML element with its href attributes create a hyperlink to web pages, file, email address, locations in the same page, or anything else a URL can address. So now the last time, okay, okay, so this is it. So on this page, I visited a page that is not on my website. This one is not something I created. Instagram page is created by Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg and his own developers. So it is not my own. So I'm linking my a text from my page to another page, to another website. So you can always do that with this anchor tag, this a tag. So whatever I'm linking, like I said, whatever you are trying to format or you want to affect is where you start from. So if you want to link Instagram, you will not come and start from here and put a here. No, you start from where you want to start it and stop it. So the opening will be where you want to start it and the closing will be where you want to stop it. So I'm going to say a tag, and you see immediately I opened it, it closed it itself. And you know that this is supposed to be in the middle, not outside it. So because of the autocomplete, it closes it itself and you have to come and put it in the middle yourself. And as when I do that, it's going to actually supposed to do that, but it is not doing that. So why? The reason is because a does not work on its own. It's the same way human beings cannot work on their own without the attribute of leg. So you need a leg to be able to walk to a distance or to a place, from one place to another. So this a needs an attribute called href, and I just explained that attributes should be written inside this what's it called, this tag, not outside, not inside. This is a content, not an attribute. An attribute is inside the angle bracket, and an attribute is always after that particular tag name. So this tag name is a, and after the a you can write its attributes before you write the angle bracket. So don't come and write attribute like this, because yesterday when I gave you class work, some people are writing it like this. So you can't write it like that. It has to be here, and it is not on this closing tag. You see, this closing tag does not do anything than to tell the browser where this effect is stopping. Even if I don't put this closing tag, the effect will still take place. The only thing is that anything I write after it will take that effect also. So, and that's not what I'm trying to do. So let me just put it here and say href. You say when I type, it will give me the suggestion immediately, and when I press enter, it's going to complete it for me. You understand? So wherever I want to go to, I will now put it here. I will now say I want to go to https instagram.com/abedev. So this is my username on Instagram. So if I save it and I come here, and you can see it has changed color the same way it did that. So if I click on this, it's going to go to Instagram, and it's going to go to my page immediately. You can see it's already showing my name, Ayomide Bankole Abedev, and it's going to open my page on Instagram. So that is what this links does. It helps you to link from one page to another. But now there's a problem. Our website is not showing anymore. We've left our own website and gone to another page, and this is a very bad user experience. The reason why I said it's bad is because I hope we are still here. Okay. So the reason why I said it's bad is because when somebody visits your website and you allow them to leave your website to go to another page, they might get carried away with the things they see and leave your page and start looking at this one and start doing things there and forget they even visited your page at all. And by the time I click on many things, by the time they start clicking on back to go back to your website, it might get very difficult, except they come and type the name again, and it's not a very good user experience. So what you do is you can make them, there's something that is possible that when they click on this, it will open a new tab. It will not leave your website, it will just open a new tab. And it's just like this. When you right click and you click on open link in new tab, something like this. But not everybody knows how to do that to do it, but you can do it in your code. So this is how you do it. There's an attribute for this a tag that is called target. Now this attribute, now let me explain something. You can write as many attributes you want to write in a tag. There's href, there are so many attributes. So there's an attribute called target, and that target attribute, what it does is it has three types of value. One is blank, one is parent, one is self, one is top. Now this blank will not allow the person to leave your page. That's what it does. So I will explain the rest later, but because this is what we just want to use, so I'm going to say blank. And if I save it and come back to my page, when I click on this, I don't need to right click and open a new tab. If I just click on this, it will open it in new tab and my page will still be here. You can see. So my page is still here and this is still here. So it is still showing the other page that I linked to, and it's still showing my page here. So the person does not need to be going back, because there's no even back they want to go to, because this is a new, it's like you going to clicking on this plus button and saying instagram.com/my Instagram page. So that is how you create a link. So the next thing I want to do is just list those other paragraph. And how do we do it? We already have a paragraph here, this first one. You can see that I nested my A element inside the paragraph. So what I just did, okay, let me do it again. I have a shortcut that I do to make my website look very good. So if you want to make, so if you have typed a lot of things and it's not, and everything is confusing, we downloaded a plugin called Prettier. So if you want to download the plugin, you can come here. We already done the class of downloading plugin actually, but I know that some people may not have this. So if you look for Prettier, you see it, and this is it. It's this one. What's wrong with this thing? So it's this one here. I already installed it. That's why I'm saying uninstall. Prettier code formatter. So it helps me to format my code beautifully. You can see by the name, you can see what it's saying. Prettier. So now I'm going to right click and say format document with, you see the Prettier. And if you look at this place, you can see it here. So if I click on this also, you can see the information about Prettier here. So what you do is you can right click and say format document with Prettier code, and it's going to, you can see that I changed the way everything is. If I go Ctrl Z, you can see that head is on the same line with HTML, which is not supposed to be. The reason is because this head is a child of HTML and it's not supposed to be inside. It's supposed to be indented, which means that it's supposed to be like this to show that it's the child. So anything you are seeing on the same line, they are the same, on the same level. But if you are seeing a child is always, there's always a space. So you can see that this meta is the child of head. That's why there's a space here. And you can see that image is the child of body. There's a space. But H1 is not the child of image because it's not inside image. That's why they are on the same line. And P is also on the same line with H1 because it's not on the same this thing. So if I format it now with Prettier, you can see that I changed everything. So now my P element is on the same line with H1. Why A element is not on the same line with P? Because A is now a child of P because it's inside P. You understand? That's what I call nesting element. And you can see now my head is now inside, not my head though, I mean the head tag element is not inside the HTML tag. You understand? So that is how that is what this is for. So when your code is actually getting confusing and you don't understand, because by the time you start writing like 2,000 lines of codes for a website, it can start getting confusing. So you need to use that format. So you can just say format code with this. And on my keyboard, it is Shift Alt or Shift Options F. I think on what's it called? Windows, it is Shift Alt F. I really don't know. You can find out yourself. If you want to know, just right click and look on format code and you see the shortcut here, and you can use it anytime you want to use it. You don't need to come and right click. You can just use that shortcut anytime. And you see my, okay, so I want to type this next in my code. So the next is going to be another P paragraph. I'm not going to write it inside here because I want it to be on a different line. So if I copy this thing, I don't want to type all these things, it's too much. So if I copy it and I copy it inside the same paragraph, it's going to be on the same line actually, which is not what I want, you see. But what I want it to be its own paragraph. It's a different paragraph. It's not the same thing with the first one. So I'm going to say another P and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to format my code again. You can see immediately this is the way it is now, but immediately I format it with that shortcut, or let me use this so that you guys can know what I'm saying. So when I do it, it's going to format it, and I'm going to save it, and it's going to be under here. So this is a paragraph and this is a separate paragraph. That's how you format your code and write paragraphs. So the next thing we want to do now is how to write a list, which is what we are supposed to actually do here. When we come to my where is the timetable? This timetable, which is HTML list. So now when we come here, if we want to write an HTML list is just to list some things. So on my CV, I have favorite movies on my CV. This is my CV right now, and then I want to type the name of all the movies that I love to watch, and then I'm going to, there's a way you represent it, and this is the way you do that. So when you come to your code, there's something called UL. So this is where this paragraph stopped. So the next one is not a paragraph, it's a list. So there are two types of lists: ordered list and unordered list. So if you go to the documentation and I come to UL and I look for list UL, so let me just come here and say lists in HTML. So now it's going to go to the browser and say HTML list. Now this is another place you can read about. It's also a place for documentations, but I don't want that. I want MDN. So I'm going to type MDN. MDN is MDN is owned by Mozilla Firefox, and it actually have more details of things when you are trying to learn it. So now this is the MDN, and this is what is the same thing as this also. So let me close this one, and okay, let me close this one too and open this one here. So I have the list. This is UL, and it's called the unordered list element. So the unordered list elements, it means that this list will not be ordered. When you don't order a list, so anyone can be in number 1, number 2, number 3. It's not like when you order a list and you put beside it, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 10, and like that. So now let me show you what I mean. So this UL is an unordered list, which means that all these things will just have bullet points without an ordered list. This meal can be number 1 and it can be number 2. It does not matter. But if you have OL, which is an ordered list, so you can see this one is the ordered list element. Now this ordered list, you can see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is ordered. So that means, and this ordered list you use when you are trying to give a step-by-step instructions to someone. So if you are saying someone should learn how to mix flour and salt, or someone to learn how to bake cake or bake bread, now the first thing they should do is mix flour with salt. You need to use ordered list so that the person will get confused and think, okay, you can actually do this one first. It doesn't matter. If this person sees number 1, it means that this is the first thing they should do. But if they don't see that and they see this UL means that it is not a step-by-step instruction. It's just something, you are just listing something, and that's why I'm using UL here, because I'm just listing something that it doesn't matter. This movie that I love to watch, it doesn't matter which one comes first. It's just the movies that I love to watch. I'm just listing movies that I love to watch. So I'm going to come here and say UL, so which is an unordered list, and I'm going to type it like that. So inside the UL has a child that is called LI. LI means list. So I'm going to say LI. So LI has to be inside unordered list or ordered list, depending on the kind of list you want to show. This is an unordered list right now. So I'm going to say extraction. So you can see extraction, but there's something missing different from here. So there's something saying favorite movies here and it's not here. So we need another heading. So you can see that this first heading is my name, and there's another heading here that we need here, which is favorite movies. And I'm going to come here. I'm not going to put it inside UL because it's not a list. It's just a different thing. So I'm going to say H3. Now H3 means that, now I said this is H1. H1 means heading 1, which is the biggest of the heading. And then there's H3, which is smaller to H1. Now there's H2, there's H3, there's H4, there's H5, there's H6. All of these headings stop at H6. I've talked about this thing before. I think you should check the last video that I posted. You'll see all these lessons here on heading. I don't know if it's there, but you can check. If it's not there, that means I've not uploaded it, but we've done it before. So this heading gets smaller as the numbers get higher. So this H means heading, so it's heading 3. So what I want to say is favorite movies, and then I save it. By the time I come to my website, it's going to show up here. You understand? And the first list is extraction, and then I want to list. So me, I like to copy and paste. I can't be typing all over and all over again. So I'm going to list something else, and it's Drunken Master, which is my second favorite movie. So I'll save it and I'll come here and you see Drunken Master. But because I've copied and pasted here, you see extraction again, which is not extraction. What's my last favorite movie, which is Spider-Man? And I want to come here and say Spider-Man. Now I want you to look at the difference between list and paragraph. Now this is not a paragraph, this is a list of something. Because if you put paragraph does not have those bullet points. It's just a paragraph that starts a paragraph of something. So now this H3, I'm just using it to show that this is an heading of a particular section. Now what I want you to look at, this website has different sections. The first section is my picture and my information. Then the other section is talking about my movies and all of, and the last section is like a footer that is talking about my hobbies and contacts that leads to another page. If you go to other websites like that, they have different sections. I want you to understand that all these things are in sections, and each sections have their own heading. You understand? Each sections have their own heading, which is the same thing I am doing here. So if I come to this my personal website, I have a section called favorite movies, and if you notice something in this one, I have something that is like a line that demarcates or that separates the sections. This line can be used, you can create that line with an HTML tag too called HR. HR means horizontal row, so you can come here and type HR where you want that line to be. That's where you put it. So you say HR. So you can see that the line is between the last paragraph. This is the last paragraph. I am a full stack, whatever. Yeah, and the next thing, heading. So now you can see that I just showed that this is a section of its own, and this is another section on its own. So I just separated the two. So the next thing I want to do is I want to also showcase my skills. Now I want to come here. After this section, I should use this HR again, and then show that this is where this section stops too. So if you see it, now this is a section, this is another section. I'm closing this section here, and any other thing I'm writing is coming under here. So I'm going to say the next thing I want to type is my skills. So another H3, which is skills. My skills, I want to list my skills, but I'm not listing them. I just want to show them like this. So these are my skills: Flutter, web development, WordPress, UX design, and all of that. So I'm going to come here and say paragraph, Flutter. And if you look at it, there's a space here. Yeah. So that space, if I give it here and I say 5-star, and I press enter, and I come here, it is not going to look the same way it is here. You understand? It's looking different. Now, if I want to make that space more, I can come here and say space, 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 depending on the number of space that I want, how far I want. If I save it, it is never going to work, because I said it in the previous class that HTML does not recognize any space like this. That's the browser. It only recognizes one space. Even if I press enter, it will still show it beside it. All this space that I gave here is not recognized by the browser. It's still going to show it. You can see that I've pressed enter, I've brought this down, and it's still showing it here. So the reason is because all this space that I just gave here is not, the browser does not recognize those space. It's just like that. So how do we do it? How do we show it in a way that it's going to be arranged the same way like this? So I will get there very soon. So let me first copy and paste all these things. and say, so I'm going to come here and say the next thing is web development. I'm going to copy and paste it here. The next one is WordPress. I'm going to copy and paste it here. And the last one is UI and UX design. Then I'm going to paste it here. So if I save it, it's not the same way with this. You can see the way it's looking here, it's different. And one thing is, no matter how long this text is, all these things, these 5 stars are on the same line. But here is not. This one is very long and is shifting this thing to the back. So all these lines are not on the same line. So what can we do? How can we solve it? This is where we now come to HTML tables.